Malaysia, and good morning, India. As Mr. Pranav introduced, I'm Captain Dr. Dinisha.
Captain Dr. Dinisha is the principal of Global International School, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much. So the topic is very interesting because I had been taking sessions and even interacting on various forums when there is a disparity which has been questioned always, that are we future ready as far as schools are concerned or the colleges and universities are concerned, and our curricula and syllabi are concerned. And yes, there is a paradigm shift as far as what we are learning, what we are teaching, and what is the job opportunity available for students in current era. Maybe 2 or 3 decades back, there were many jobs which were really called for, and there were many jobs which are there now were never even thought of. And the latest hot cake is, online editors, where there are all the organizations which are going for one or the other event on virtual platform, and so much of time and maybe expertise is not there. So there are people, they are just proactive in thinking, and they have launched themselves as these kind of professionals, where you just give them videos and they will edit and create your event. This is just a preamble. Today, when we are here, I was just going through the profile and a bit of introduction, that all of us are from marketing and leading one or the other organization heading in this stream, where this forum and you people, when you are in that kind of job profile, you are the ones who are holding the complete crux of the organizational setup and system, and you are knowing actually what you are launching. So, coming to the point, that today what we are discussing is what we have on our platter to offer, and how we are connecting. We are connecting to this desire and demand of the time, and also the existing ones, because the change comes before and the change is performed later in the system. So, where are we on this setup? And for this, first of all, I would invite Mr. Rahul Bhatia to give his views.
Thank you. Thank you very much. In fact, let me introduce myself. I run an organization called Scholarships Dekho. Scholarships Dekho basically is a software as a service product. What it does is, on one hand, we have more than 400 consultants and education agents on our platform. Now, these are the people who are any which ways connected with the students. These are people who are uh, career advisors. They are people who are consultants, trainers, running agencies, and they are the ones who always are in touch with students and know exactly what the student is aspiring to do. So our platform is a connect between those people, and which also allows us to reach to the students and the universities. So what we are trying to do is we're trying to bridge and be in a different space. Uh, I have had an experience of marketing various universities over last 20 years. What I have seen over a period of time is that the basic ethos of this entire recruitment cycle is basically the affordability of a program. 90% of the students are always moving around. They aspire to do a program, but it's basically the affordability of a program that they are always stuck on. And that is wherein I personally believe there has to be a solution. So a child who is aspiring to do a certain program but does not have that kind of money to spend, he really is stuck. And then he takes a detour from his path. So ideally, the new age programs, whatever we are offering today, one, are not available to the students. They are not aware of all those new age programs. On the second hand, the affordability is also a problem that they have. So ideally, I guess, the universities and the Indian university setups need to understand that they need to reach to the child and look at his requirement. I mean, like, we all know how to market, but it's how to reach that child and how to convert that child into getting into his own liking of a career. That is wherein I guess most of us universities should focus on. And second is that UGC has recently announced, they have recently announced a draft policy wherein the joint programs, international programs, whether twinings, whether the joint degree programs uh, are going to be offered. So I guess, they are planning to uh, come out with this proper policy for the universities. I think that is another area which the new age universities should focus on. And that allows the student to get the best of both the worlds. Whereas also saving potential money for his parents. So I guess that is how I personally believe at least 2021 is going to perform. It is going to be governed by people who are aware of their careers but do not have deep pockets. So if somehow these universities and everybody can focus on those areas, I think it should be a good idea.
Thank you so much, Mr. Rahul. This is actually a point which personally even I feel when I think of, hunting out for some programs for my own child. And I feel, certainly we look for that, which is the organization which is allowing or offering some scholarship, and then people flock into that. And this information is not readily available. We need to actually hunt for it. So if something can be done on this forum, that availability of information for different universities and programs offering scholarship, the criteria and all, if it is made as a highlight on your portal or on a platform where you are highlighting other details of the program, probably that will make it more catchy. So taking it further in the same line, I would like to request Miss Meenu Arora to give her views and highlight what they are offering, how they are going about launching various programs which are making students future ready, and what are your views onto this scholarship perspective, Miss Veena Arora?
Thank you so much,
Is she
Captain
there?
Nisha. Yeah,
Yeah.
am I audible?
Yeah,
Okay.
ma'am, you're audible.
Yeah, now.
Okay. Thank you so much. So I'm representing Kriya University, which is at Sri City, and it is a liberal arts and sciences university. We are pioneers in interwoven learning, and having said that, the fact that Rahul and Captain Denisha, you were also mentioning that the basic objective of higher ed institute is to prepare students, for the future. They are there basically to bridge the gap between the education and the world of work. And now when we are at the brink of technological revolution, we see that we are altering the ways we live, we communicate with each other. Everything is changing. So it's very important for students also to know that how conventional careers can also be pursued in an unconventional way, right? So Kriya makes that kind of effort, that along with the education, along with the degree, the skill set which is required, whether it is 4Cs, critical thinking, creative thinking, communication, collaboration, or the digital literacy or the data literacy which is required, or the cognitive flexibility, that is very, very important. So when we design our first year course, we emphasize only on these core courses and the skill courses. So when a student joins, they don't need to declare their major. And I totally agree with Mr. Rahul when he said it's very important for the universities also to take the counseling approach. I myself, I'm a counseling psychologist, and we make sure that when we are guiding students for even our university, we should guide them and should not market. We are very conscious of this particular fact. And so having said that, we don't have any prerequisite when we offer major minor combination, and we don't teach subjects also in silos, because future is all about multidisciplinary approach. So we give that kind of liberty to students that they can choose major minor combination from any divisions. So even if they don't have maths, they can do economics, because I strongly believe that if you integrate your life journey with your career journey, you don't need to wait for the retirement, to live the life your way. So I think it's very important, and it's our responsibility to guide students that how they have to make an informed choice about this career journey. And secondly, you asked about the scholarship. So we don't offer scholarship at Kriya, but we do have financial aid. So once the student is chosen, we look at the financial documents, and there are certain criteria like if the family income is below 35 lakhs, then per annum, then you can apply for the financial aid, which can go up to 100%.
Wonderful. I think people would look for such opportunities, and I really appreciate the way you have brought in that even conventional subjects can be taught in a non-conventional way and connected to the technological kind of blast which is happening these days. And another thing which you are saying is that you are not having any prerequisites where for going for any subject, child can opt without having that particular connect, especially mathematics, which comes as hindrance in many cases, where I have heard children saying, what will I do if I become a civil servant? Will I calculate the mathematics over there when it is there in prelims? So going in the same way, this is a wonderful kind of revolution or revolutionary ideas which have set in, and universities have started thinking on these lines. I'm sure a lot of talent will be nurtured this way when they will have less peripherals and less blockages in their way to come forward. Thank you so much, Miss Meenu, for a beautiful insight. Now, may I request Miss Amina Hassan to come forward and give her views.
Hello, everyone. This is Amina Hassan from Daffodil International University, Bangladesh. And I was listening to the past speakers and also Madam, you, the moderator. So I would like to add some points here, like what we are doing here in Bangladesh and at Daffodil International University. Like as Madam said, like the employability. And we are concentrating on that matter. And we have, you would be happy to know that at Daffodil International University, as you know, that we have a special unit that is called Skill.Jobs, and also the Career Development Center. And also we have the special counseling centers to guide the student, whatever they are facing problems in their career. So we have initiated a special program also that is called Employability 360-degree. We have apprenticeship program. So through this way, we are trying to make our student ready for the job market. And as you know, like even now we are in a transition point. We are also facing some changes in our job, in our present job role also. So we are trying to give the same readiness to our students through different units. And our special unit that I already mentioned, that our special unit is working for that. And we have the career mentor who is guiding the students from the beginning of the course to until they get ready for the job market. So the mentoring system, we initiated the mentoring system, and the mentor works for them until they get the job and gets ready for the job market. So this is the way we are giving effort so that our graduates can get the exact idea of the job market, how it is changing now. And also we are trying to bring some changes in our curricula as well, as we cannot do it because University Grants Commission is the authority, but we have initiated some other program so that it supports them to get prepared for the future job market as well. So this is the way we are trying to help our students with the change matters that will come forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ms. Amina. It is actually one of the major concerns that many students,
right,
other than those conventional jobs, till date do not know what else is there which market is ready to offer them, and they can actually flourish. They are not able to connect their interest, they are not able to connect their knowledge, and they are not able to connect their pocket with the offers which are coming in market. So this is wonderful initiative you people are taking as to, going by counseling approach and updating people, and then going for the job employability 360-degree, which you said. We are in fact as a consumer, as a person who's looking forward for opportunities, as a parent, and many students are kind of in market to look out, and they are ready. Every year we have students passing out, so such things will actually give them a great help. Going
Thank you.
forward in the same vein, I would now request Mr. Pratik Acharya to hold the forum and express his views, please.
Hi, a very good morning to everyone. I am in Bangalore and I am representing ATRA University. So this will be the first year of ATRA University. So talking about the university, how it is kind of built is we are trying to build a complete, truly liberal, flexible learning kind of a pathway. For sciences, that is still now I feel that engineering is quite something which is a hard, fast pathway that students have to take. So at Atria, we have worked out a kind of a curriculum, and which is also we are under way to refine it more, wherein the student can actually, after their 12th, irrespective of what they have chosen, they can select, even our student can go for a BTech or vice versa, right? So from commerce background, so your background won't matter. We have completely found ways to remove any kind of prerequisites by different bridging courses in the first year to enable students to choose a pathway as and when they want. So until unless the second year, the students actually get a choice to choose which degree they want to do out of the 4 degrees that we offer. And the majors as well are structured in such a way that there will be jobs for the students when they come out in say 2026 or 2027. And coming to the admissions as well, we do not consider any kind of marks for it. It is completely based on a holistic process. Even the admission process we have taken up from top companies like Google and Amazon, the way they interview, that is the kind of approach that we have taken to truly see the student for their thought process and their problem solving capabilities and collaborative skills more than how they are scoring. And going forward to scholarships, we do not have any merit scholarships. It's purely based, it's need blind. So once you are selected in the admission process, based on your family income. Basically, family income will not stop you from getting this kind of education, and you will be eligible for up to 100% plus, including your state scholarships. I think I've, in a nutshell, explained a little bit what ITRA is trying to do in India.
Thank you so much, Mr. Acharya. Yes, sciences are still, much in demand, and generally, students, if as a school leader, when we see, they try to opt for still engineering or medical, and many of them who are not actually fulfilling these prerequisites, they kind of curb their desires and that remain in their hearts. So it is a wonderful initiative that you are little liberal initially on prerequisites, but you have not compromised on standards, and kind of there are bridging courses or something where you still bring them up to that level, because certainly that level there should be no compromise, and then the options are more. That is one thing which is very, very important to be taken care of. So going by this further, may I request Gaurav, Mr. Gaurav, you were Gaurav Sachdeva. No, sorry, Mr. Gaurav Sachdeva to come forward and speak up.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Basically, we are in the field of career counseling and career guidance from last 15 years. We guided the student, especially for engineering, medical, liberal art, and all the courses. And basically, my point of view of counseling is very different. But the point is that we are in this field for last 15 years. My background is already engineering and management. But the mainly problem facing in like liberal art courses, the fees is very high. We generally go in a government school or in so many Uttarakhand, Jammu Kashmir, and all so many places. But the fees of Ashoka University start with 8 lakh rupees, 7 lakh rupees per year. Every student are not in a paying capacity to pay 8 to 10 lakh rupees. And another factor is engineering in the colleges like SRM, VIT, and UPES. The fee structure is total, including hostel, range between 20 to 25 lakh rupees. Everybody are not spending that much amount of money in engineering. That reason they are searching for a colleges low grade where the fees is low. If their score is not good in JEE Mains, then they go for another low grade colleges due to the fee structure. Scholarship, they are offering scholarship for girls, they are offering some scholarship for needy, but the mass, huge number of students available in a market. This is one of the major problems. And the talent in the market, we have seen so many talent in government school, private schools. We also consider the student from DPS, Yan, GD Gonka, all these schools in millions here. But the point is that the another factor is 70%, 80%. A student are not good in academics, but some students on the basis of the percentage, they are not selected. But on the basis of the entrance test, they have a different aptitude mindset. So that reason, the one more important factor is never force to the science student go in engineering or medical. We shifting on the basis of the personality of the student, we shift to the management. And then after we take the person go for MBA. Why not starting BBA if your percentage for JEE Mains or NEET score is low, but you have a skill set like leadership skill, like communication skill, like personality, and like so many factors. So in that case, we shift, we guide the student. Why? There is a college like Shahid Sukhdev College where the highest salary package of the bachelor degree is 19 lakh rupees. Like colleges, like Bombay University, St. Xavier's, where the package starts with the 8 lakh rupees, 7 lakh rupees. After passing engineering from UPS, student only 4 lakh rupees. So many students are placed in 4 lakh rupees package. What is the use of engineering of UPES or any other engineering college? So that is it. We have to check the mindset and the talent of the student. According to that, we recommend according to the personality of the student. And there is, like in a plain university, there is a fees is high, but they have a very good major and minor, like the CREA is very good. But the fees is a major problem. If any package, low grade fees to the masses or talented student, so then is a very good option for the government school student or for the private school student whose salary income of the family is only 30, 40 or 50,000. They are not bearing 10 lakh rupees in a year. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gaurav. I really appreciate with the emotional power-packed performance you came forward and you expressed, because ours is a country where certainly a lot of crowd, lot of strength of our population lies in a age group, or in a income group which is lower middle class, we can say. And low middle class is a very wide criteria. From I don't know what point it starts after BPL, and it comes to everyone, which includes all of us generally. So mostly the concern is that they are not able to pay. And second thing is there is a lot of talent, but then somewhere the academic performance gets curved because of one or the other reason. That doesn't mean the child doesn't hold talent, or child is not actually appropriate to be part of some course which who can take up tomorrow in life. So the most important aspect is life skills, which we need to focus at, and which we need to take care when we are grabbing him and giving him opportunity. So merging all these aspects, I'm sure there are wonderful opportunities which are created by you people for such class and such group of people who can come forward, nurture, and actually shine India. So wonderful. I'm really thankful to you for the way you brought it up in front of us. Now, taking this journey in same excited mode, I would like to request a lady who's smiling, looking at me, Miss Anju. Please come forward and take this spark ahead.
Thank you so much, Captain Dinesh. It's really amazing to see you as the moderator. I've heard you in a couple of other forums.
Hello.
Voice
Anju, we
is
can't
low,
hear
Miss
you.
Anju. Yeah. Your
Hello?
volume is very low.
Am I audible now?
Less, little louder, please.
Okay, so I think,
Your volume is decreased, it seems.
am I audible now?
You are audible. You were audible that time also, but volume is very low.
So you know what I'm going to do is I'm just going to switch off my camera and speak just next to the phone because I think my computer has an issue. All right. So I hope.
Ma'am, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
No, no, Anju, we can't hear you.
Oh my God.
Very low volume. Very low.
Somebody else speak. I'll just.
Yeah, I think we can invite Madam Megha Jain.
Right, Mr. Pranav, over to Miss Megha Jain, seriously planning and stitching the threads ahead. Over to you, Miss Megha.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tanisha. So I am representing Arch College of Design and Business, and we are in Jaipur offering design education from 20 years. So over the 20 years, you know, we have seen a lot of difference, how design education has shifted and now being recognized. And, you know, now the UGC and we are affiliated with University of Rajasthan, which is a 75 years old university. And it took us a long while to get University of Rajasthan start a regular BDES program. So that journey we have seen in education. And at Arch, you know, our mandate is to focus on social entrepreneurship. That is the mentoring which we provide students here. The beauty of the program is that it is all about the interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary learning. So we have programs into fashion, interior, jewelry, graphics, and products. And so this is an open campus where all the labs, all the facilities are available to the student. And the students can work in different labs. Some of my previous speakers were talking about that, like how in the first year, they don't ask students to choose a subject. Similarly, here in design, the first is a foundation year where students come with different kind of background, mindsets, and they come and explore themselves. They start hands-on, they start exploring their own creative skills. And this is how they start building interest and, you know, working further into the field. So this is a major thing, I would say, which design education foster. Secondly, one of my previous colleagues was also talking about the incubation. Similarly, in design, we have at Arch a design business incubator to foster entrepreneurship. So our incubation cell, our project cell, they help students to get the live brief from the industry, and the students get ready for the industry-based curriculum. So they get mentoring throughout their academic journey with us. So it is not something what you are studying here, and when you go into the industry, they feel, okay, there is a gap, there is something which is a mismatch. So they're getting these feedback into the classroom, and which make this education more practical, employable, right? And after 2020, I feel today the whole focus would be on intellectual property. What kind of, you know, knowledge you have, what kind of mindset as a student you have, and how open you are in relearning or resetting your own skills. That is what is going to make a big difference into the industry going forward. It is not going to be what we were doing in past 20 years. Everything has shifted altogether. There's a new paradigm which we are all working towards. So that will make a lot of difference. So even at Arch, I would like to elaborate it a bit. We conduct the All India Entrance Examination for Design, AIEED, which we started in 2010. And 2011, a decade back, we made it as an online entrance exam. And it was the first of its kind of exam in design in the country, which was online with interactive components so that we can test, you know, the creative aptitude in a student. And very recently, there was an article in Times of India wherein they have quoted the IIT Delhi's vice chancellor saying that when an exam like AIEED exists in country to test the you know, the creative ability of a student, they don't need IITZ. So that's a very big endorsement by IIT Delhi saying that the exam, which is a all India level exam, and with that kind of creative aptitude and those scores, even IIT Delhi might consider going forward. So which is a big acknowledgement for what we have done over the past 10 years. And in 2021, you know, because there are a lot of people we were talking about, like, again, what students are thinking about, how would they choose, what difference it would create. So at Arch, we have changed our screening process. And in this design screening process, it is the idea is to have a introspection where a student themselves would think, what are they good at, instead of not about their skills, who they are. So our exam is again more like an experiential exam, which is useful, fun, and we would like to know students in terms of their attitude, not only their aptitude. So that is one major component. Then their communication skills, which is just not the verbal, it has to be their visual, their concepts, their interpersonal communication, because ultimately teamwork, resilience, that is what would make them successful in their career journeys. Then how they react to different situations, how to react to different problems, because COVID has imposed so many problems to us. So now the design thinking and the creative thinking, what an individual has, whichever field you are, either in design or in marketing, what we are doing is all creative communications. Even ma'am, you said like the careers like the editing of a video is a new age career. Yes, it is. And that would need a lot of aesthetics. That would need a lot of understanding of the subject. And these people, the young generation, they need to develop this into themselves. So this is one of the important points. Then second, Rahul Bhatia ji mentioned about the joint degree programs. So at Arch, we offer international programs. We are accredited to Pearson BTech, which is the UK government's qualification. So first 2 years of the college, students study here in India with us, and then they go and progress in final year to the university in UK or Canada. This is a progression based on the higher national diploma. And in third year, they complete their graduation, and fourth year, they can even complete their masters. So that's again a cost saving, because we were all talking about, how financial aids can be given or what affordable fees would be. So if a student is interested in studying abroad, so instead of paying 4 years fees or the living expenses maybe in UK, you have to just pay for 2 years. The first 2 years is in India. So that's again an affordability. Similarly, there are scholarships, there are financial aids based on your entrance exam scores, based on your family income. Then we are supporting the wards of craftsmen, defense personnel. So there are a lot of things which are available with our students on that level. So this is how, at Arch, we are creating a difference. And the values we stand is to empower, co-create, and evolve. So together we can empower people, we work in a team, and that is what the co-creation is going to be all about. So this is how we do.
Empower, co-create, and evolve.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Ms. Megha. You've spoken so many things which are close to my heart. And one most important thing, which I actually look forward when I'm sitting in a recruiter's chair, and that is attitude vis-a-vis aptitude, which is very, very important aspect. When I conducted a research in 2013, and my output was 70:30, but I just studied latest one research which said 85:15. So that is how the percentage of attitude makes a difference in anything as far as the success level is concerned. And yes, there is a great shift, there is a paradigm shift when we talk about learning, and when we talk about sharing your intellectual thoughts and coming forward in unconventional ways. And I'm sure you are doing much more what you have touched upon, because anyways your touching upon was too elaborate, and it was very enlightening indeed, because this is the need of the hour, that we have to take these things forward. And we offer more, we offer all the questions which come to mind of a parent as a solution. I think that will be wonderful takeaway for this discussion, that whatever comes to me as a parent in my mind should be offered by you people as organizations and universities, so that the things are made easy. There were days when people used to go from one university to another, to college, to this, downloading and all that. Things should be right at the platter. Thank you so much for bringing it in such a wonderful way. Now, taking it forward, I request Mr. Sahib Sablok, till Ms. Sanju gets ready, Mr. Sahib Sablok to come and express his offerings to all of us.
With due permission, Sahib is at the airport, I suppose. Am I correct,
All
Sahib?
right, then we go back to
I'm
Sanju.
here.
No. He's
If I'm
from airport
audible,
only.
I can go on.
You are
I'm
there,
ready
Mr.
just in
Sahib.
case.
Yeah,
You are also audible, Ms. Sanju. Be ready for the
there
next.
is no problem.
Yes, Mr. Sahib, please take it up.
Am I audible?
No.
Your voice is cracking.
What we can,
Right now, but I want to just.
sir,
Is
please
it better now?
relog in again.
Yeah, you may rejoin.
Yeah.
It is
With your
cracking.
due permission, Captain, I would like to request Mr. Nayan Lamchen from Nepal for what kind of things, what kind of expectations Nepal students have in Indian private universities. Over to Nayan.
Wonderful,
from
wonderful.
Kathmandu.
We would love to hear that.
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Nayan, we welcome
Thank
you.
you. Thank you very much, and good morning, everyone. First of all, I'd like to thank you, EduTV, Pranab sir and Tanya, who have invited me to present in this discussion for you. Well, my name is Nayan Lamishane. I'm an executive chairman of Education Planet, Kathmandu, Nepal. Education Planet is informally known as ePlanet in the market. So before I say something, I would like to introduce my company here as our head office is located in Bagh Bazar, Kathmandu, which was established in 2005. And we extended our services major city of Nepal, such as Lagankhel, Chitwan, Kawasati, Butol, Pokhara, and Iteri. I think this city is actually known by Pranab sir.
Yes.
And besides, we are also providing our services from India as well. Currently, we are started from Hyderabad and Ahmedabad as well. So regarding global recruitment, we have been closely working with various high-ranked universities and institutions across the globe. In especially in Indian recruitment, we are very much delighted to work with very high-ranked universities and institutions in India. In fact, we believe in quality, not in quantity. So having a relationship with the high-ranked universities and institutions like you is the top priority of my company. So every year, there are thousands of Nepalese students choosing India as their study destinations. So representing good universities in India would be a great beneficial for both stakeholders such as universities and agencies. And also it will great benefit for our students as well. However, besides the good story, we used to heard some bad news from our students sometimes as they find some difficulty while they're studying in Indian institutions. Therefore, which is need to be closely look and solve our students' difficulties by the institutions as much as possible. So lastly, I would like to request all our participated institutions to bring some good scholarship opportunities for the Nepalese students in the coming days. And thank you and have a great day.
Mr. Nayan, I would like to come back to your input which you had given, difficulty. May we know what are those difficulties which they face, so that all of us are here right now. Maybe somewhere we can make a difference.
Yes. Sometimes, when they are registering one of the institution or universities, and they may not actually have a rights to do or examinations due to their internal registration with the universities. It's particularly some institutions, those who actually provided courses from the universities, and they are ready for the exams, but they are not actually allowed to give the examinations because of some difficulties in registrations. I think it's internal procedures of institutions and universities. So these kind of issues make great impact our Nepalese community. So they may not actually choose the Indian institutions because of that reasons. So that should be actually addressed by the institutions if they are recruiting students from Nepal market. And secondly, sometimes, students actually have given us feedbacks about the mess, like the kitchen. Sometimes they may not actually used to have a foods that Indian students used to have in their kitchen. So that could be actually some issues for some students' family. So if university or institutions actually have a combined mess, and if they have some facilities for the students categories, that would be nice, so that they can actually enjoy the food as well. These are the small problems for our students, those who are studying. And besides that, also sometimes, that majority of the Indian students might actually have a little assault with the different background of the students as well, which is very, very important part of the institution and universities. They need to look after these areas as well. Yeah, these are the feedbacks from my side
Thank you so much, Mr. Nayan. It means a lot to us because, when we talk about that, getting along of students and all, there we talk where we need to stress upon values, and we need
Yes.
to touch upon, embracing a larger community as a own community and understanding the requirements. And certainly we need to go much into intricate requirements, or to make it more simple, especially the registration which is concerned. Because even personally, I have seen as a parent and as a student that there are universities when registration process is too cumbersome, that whole day goes and then still we get tired, and still you fill the long online form and ultimately it doesn't get submitted. So these
Yes.
are the things which we all need to look into to make the things easy. And also one thing which I want to confess, Mr. Nayan, I wanted to invite you in the beginning because your name was figuring in on top, but I couldn't pronounce your surname, so I said no, leave him, I'll talk to him later. So thank
That's
you so
okay.
much for speaking it out so that I can speak it out
Captain,
correctly.
Captain, I would like to tell one more thing about Mr. Nayan. When I used to work for a university and take care of admissions under the guidance of Mr. Rahul Bhatia, so I called Nayan as a promoter because he gave us so many students. In one day, I think we used to admit more than 26, 27 students, and I got promoted after that. So I called Mr. Nayan as a promoter.
Yeah, thank
I
you.
would request, I think all the university people should contact him. And he's a wonderful person. I think from last 15 years, he's running this business very successfully. He's known for sending hundreds of students. And he's got a very good reputation out there. He's got a beautiful office at Bagh Bazaar. I think when we go to Nepal, we make his office our office only. Thank you, Nayan sir, for all the help you have extended us.
Office we will see once he invites us,
Yes.
but rest of the things are taken in right spirit.
Correct,
So
correct.
thank you so much, Mr. Nayan. I go back to Miss Anju, who couldn't join in that time. Over to you, ma'am. Please come forward.
Hi, thank you so much, Captain Dinisha, and thank you so much to all the speakers who, address such sensitive issues and very progressive university philosophies. So, it's Flame University is in Pune, and I'm very, very proud to be part of the university because of the vision that it has. Way back 13 years back, it had a vision that liberal education, which was so less popular in India, or we didn't have any university at that time. They set up a university, and I've heard my dean literally, when he went through the NEP, he said, "Oh my God, this looks like a brochure." So, that is the vision that the university had. So I'm really, really proud to be part of it. Nonetheless, we have grown very organically. We have, in terms of, the subjects that we offer, and now we are popularly known for, the 300 major minor combinations that we offer, which is 22 majors and 22 minors. So that is what majorly attracts the students who want to pursue subjects like public policy and international relations. Of course, the others, journalism and film and television management, applied mathematics, computer science in the same university. So the kind of variety that the university offers, that is something which was needed in India. You don't have to make a hole in your pocket to go and study, spend 1 crore for the same program, which is just available for a few lakh. Now, talking about the fee part, because I did see that this is a very sensitive issue where we have so much of talent in our country, and it's just unfortunate that the affordability comes in way. And while we cannot take care of everyone, we do have certain systems where we appreciate merit scholarship, irrespective if someone has filled up the form. And even our form fee is 2,000, and if a student writes to the admissions office that I'm very interested, and but I do not have enough money to fill the form, so we do give them scratch cards to kind of discreetly seeing if they're being honest and truthful about that. So students write from there till the time they get. So merit is something which we really appreciate. It doesn't have to necessarily go. I may be a person who's very financially very challenged, but I'm a great mind, doesn't mean that those children have to be not being treated equally. So we have around 25 to 30% of our students who are on scholarship each cohort. So that contribution is very much in the heart of the thing. The other thing I think we believe is that the education system is, we're talking about employability. That's fine. I mean, it's something that every parent sends the students for higher education for that purpose. But I think if we look at it, take a step back and look at it in a different perspective, I think the universities, they have a major responsibility of making the students' earnability quotient so high that employability is, it's I think the world is talking about earnability and not employability. Look at what pandemic did, right from the Fortune 500 to a chai wala or a salo or an airline. Sorry. So everybody had to rethink, reboot, redo it. People who were running successful businesses but could not adjust, they were the ones who crashed down. So what are those skills that the university must provide, or higher education? So we do have a very, very interesting way of kind of doing the complete delivery of the program, where the first year student actually goes through 18 courses before the student actually discloses or declares his major or minor. There are certain courses where you're talking about financial literacy, you're talking about mental modeling, you're talking about public speaking, academic writing, digital literacy, of course, I said. So it's, 8 such courses which are essentially looking at developing the skill of a child, irrespective whether I become an economist or a journalist or I produce films. I will need to manage my finances. I will need to be presentable. And I think that's the little difference between two people, where somebody is really qualified, but the other one is also qualified, but can present so well. So this whole 360-degree view of giving students a platform is something really important. And like some of my previous fellows just mentioned, giving them an international exposure. So at Flame, we do have a semester abroad program where students go right to Amherst and Wellesley and Babson and Sciences Po, and there are 20 other colleges where they actually go and study a semester abroad, and they do not pay a penny extra as a tuition fee. Of course, they have to bear the cost of their travel, and then the credits are transferred. So again, you're giving them an international exposure in one format where you're actually sending them internationally. The other is the faculty, which is heavily invested into research and comes from 80% of our faculty are PhDs from universities abroad. So they already know the culture in those universities, and what they bring into a classroom is an international experience, right? Very much here in your own country, because I think we also have the culture of research where, the students are assistant research, they assist the research of a professor. So right at the undergraduate level, you are inculcating these things about research, about experiential learning, where whatever you've learned in the classroom, you actually go out and apply it through certain experiential learning programs. And beyond that, there's also, I think, since we do call ourselves as an international standard university, so our curriculum mapping is done in such a way there that, the kind of, Flame offers slightly more rigorous program when it comes to just its courses. So for example, if Delhi University student doing economics majors will take up maybe 28 to 31 courses, here in Flame you do 45 courses. So it is academically slightly more rigorous, but nonetheless, it's not that we make students' life very stressful. It is actually quite a lot of serious fun, because the faculty and student ratio is just 1:10. And so a lot of assistance from, one is, I think we sometimes underestimate these youngsters. They have huge potential and they can do, it's just the right kind of guidance and mentoring that kind of goes long way. And we're able to, follow those Guru Shishya Parampara, where actually the mentoring, and it comes from our own ancient culture. It's nothing new. But just that sometimes in such a rat race, we just forget about, giving emphasis on these small little things which make a huge value. So yes, in general, I think as a university, we've got a heart at the right place, mind at the right place, and we're able to, form the right kind of people that who need Flame and also what Flame needs. So we're able to balance that act so far. And yeah, so that's all from me. Any questions we can take later, please. Thank you so much, Captain Dinisha.
Thank you, Ms. Sanju. You have given the spark and you are already having a flame, so everything is ready now. And you talked wonderfully about variety, diversity, and one very important thing which I recently studied law 2 years back, completed law from a private university, and with a close proximity of Chancellor, he requested me that what you have highlighted brilliantly is employability quotient. He said our children are studying well, we have good faculty, but they are not getting good placements because probably something is a miss in between. And we discussed, and I said that they should know more about presenting themselves, because I, as a recruiter, when I look at a person coming to me, probably somebody may be scoring less, somebody may be coming from not so good an organization, but I would like to see him as a package, what he can do, how he can present and all, and preparing. And then we created a module over there. I mean, at my personal level, nothing of any concern further. And then interacted with students till the time I was there. So wonderful to hear that a university is doing this kind of thing, because certainly when students may be having high level of talent and they come from diverse backgrounds, but then they have to move out taking your flag, and then becoming yes, placements and all universities do look for, look after, but then certainly why not a student should be independent enough to stand wherever he wants and get selected. Rather, people crave to take a person like that.
Yes, because I think we have to understand we are growing so fast as a nation. There will never be enough employment, so you have to focus on skill sets where they can employ themselves. Today's DIY generation, everybody is doing things themselves. So why not, bring in this entrepreneurship mindset, which comes only with, creativity, innovation kind of thing. So that has to be inculcated into your education. And I think today, I'll just say one last line. Today, we must be just handful of universities who are offering liberal education. But if the students and parents are listening and educators, I think this is going to be the future. There's just two ways about it, because the society has changed completely. So I think that's something really, really important for us counselors to know about that. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, this is going to be the future, and the future is coming to our country, and we are there to nurture it, and wonderful initiatives have been taken by many of you. So thank you so much once again, taking the entire discussion forward. I would now like to request, I hope Mr. Sahib Sablok is well connected now. So please come forward and express your views, Mr. Sahib, if you are there.
I'd just like to know whether I'm audible or not, because I have some signal issues.
No, you are audible, Sahib.
Am I audible?
Yeah, very much.
Okay, so first of all, apologies. I'm at the airport and I'm not aptly dressed for this, just like everybody else is. And it's an absolute pleasure to be here today. My name is Sahib, and I head the PR and marketing for Graphical University in Dehradun. We are a deemed university in Uttarakhand, and we have 4 campuses here. We have more than 78 courses. And first of all, before we begin, I won't take too long. I have some signal issues here. But first of all, thank you, EduTV, and of course, thank you, Mr. Guha, for having us here. It's an absolute pleasure to be among such lovely panelists and discussing on something which really means something and creates a soul for what all of us are doing collectively. My only input, a few things that I want to say is, first of all, I absolutely agree with what Anju ma'am said, and of course with what Mr. Bhatia had to say. I think things are changing very rapidly. Thanks to COVID, I think we are at different cities and we are well connected and we are having this discussion about things. So I think that only is one very mild thing that we see out of COVID coming out, that technologically, if only just one thing happens, all of a sudden everybody is online and we have Zoom and we have Microsoft and we are on Teams and everything is happening at such a rapid pace. I think we should make the most out of it. As a university, as people, I know there are a lot of consultants here as well with big firms and who are dealing with a lot of students. I think it's the most important part is that when we are counseling, we make sure that it is not only the child that who's being counseled, we counsel them as a family. Sometimes I've seen this personally. The parents need more counseling than the student most of the time, because they're a little distressed about what the child is going to choose and they're worried about what the future holds for them. Also, there's one thing that I believe, which is the overall personality development of a child. Sometimes he's just out of school.
Sahib, we can't hear you. Sahib, we can't hear you.
His internet is unstable wherever he
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
Strength is weak.
Probably very brilliant in studies, but somehow is not comfortable expressing himself. So I believe the extra Guaji then.
Captain, you can ask the next speaker, ma'am.
Yeah, okay. Thank you so much. We may go back to Mr. Sahib later. May I now request Mr. Rahul Dahiya to share his ideas and the initiatives which they are taking. Mr. Rahul.
Thank you, Captain. I think I'm audible, if I'm not wrong.
Perfect. You are perfectly audible.
So I will take up, my points from where my same Naam Rashi Rahul Bhatia ji have started about internationalization of the education. And I'm from the UBS Universal Business School, Mumbai, and that was our foundation stone when we came into the education, that we will make internationalization of the Indian education. And we started the programs with the approval of AICT. And subsequently, we started the UG program also with the International University. And today, I think we are pioneer into this space where our alums are today settled in more than 50 countries across the world. The major focus about the UBS was, it was by the industry and for the industry, and the college got endorsed by the 60 global CEOs. It was started by Tarun Anand, who was the global CEO of the Thomson Reuters. And major focus come on the experiential learning and about the futuristic program. Up to the level, like one of the speaker was talking about the liberal education, that we even do experiments in our programs. Like last year, we started business management with liberal arts from the Cardiff University itself. So that's the kind of the college, future-ready college we are. Now coming to the point of, taking the point from the Gaurav Sachdeva, because he was very emotional when he was speaking about the kind of the, intake process everyone follow and the scholarships. We follow the 360-degree assessment of the student, and I'm 100% in agreement with Mr. Gaurav that every student come from the different background, and every student, every individual is different, and you can't have the unique, same yardstick to assess every student. So we follow the 360-degree assessment process where we look at their academic, their extracurricular activities, their score in the entrance test, and even up to the level where we conduct the artificial intelligence-based personality test. And we believe in the diversity. We have worked very hard in getting the diversity, not only from the Indian states, even the international students. So today, if you go to our campus, you will see the student from all 27, 29 states and the union territories, and then the student from the Middle East to Dubai. So that's where the diversity comes into the picture. What we have done in the UBS, especially with our UG candidate, we have more focus, as I told you, about the experiential learning, along with that, the co-creation of the curricula. We have taken student out from the classroom and they are creating their own, content to study what curricula is, telling you to study. So that content creation from the student is a very unique feature in the UBS as of now. And then coming to, everyone talk about the employability. My personal views, and we at the UBS are firm believer that employability is the overhyped word used in the education industry. And the another line is that we are bridging the gap between industry and academia. So that's not actually, today in the, even after the COVID, it have proved that future is something different. Employability is very temporary. If you're saying that we are, putting up our program for the employability, we say you need to put up your candidate future ready in terms of the adaptability and the resilience. And we have seen this during the COVID. So that's where our more focus on the, futuristic ready human power. Actually, we believe that every candidate is different and they will find their path in the corporate or in the entrepreneurship or something else. But you need to make them very much adaptive for the future. Then coming to the scholarship, and let me tell you very bluntly, everyone, wherever you go, people talk about the scholarship, that the private universities are not offering enough scholarship and their fees are very high. We need to understand that we all in the private sector, these are the self-finance colleges and they need to sustain also. So no one can offer more than 5% to the 10% of the total number of the candidate in the free of the cost. We at UBS, we started okay that we will offer 5% of our seats 100% free for the deserving candidate. But where we are trying hard and we have got some success is getting scholarship from the corporates, from our alumni, and giving the min scholarship also. And that's the only way where we can bridge this gap of the cost of the education. Yes, there are alternatives because we are in the internationalization of the education. If a student pursues a BBA from UK versus BBA from UBS, the cost is 1/3 with the same curricula, same degree, and the same pedagogy. So that's all from my side. I think we are running short of the time also, so I will not take much more. If there are any question, we can ask it in the end of the session. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Rahul. Absolutely brought out in a wonderful way that employability today is there, tomorrow it may not be there. It is the ambassador whom we are creating from our organization, who stands wherever he or she stands. People eyes are on him or her to grab him. For that level has to be created and to be actually thought when we move forward. So now, when the time is running short and we are running fast, I would like to invite Miss Nandini. Again, I'm not able to pronounce your surname. So Miss Nandini, please come forward and take it up.
Hello, and thank you for having me here. My name is Nandini Uchil. It's Uchil and not Uchil, like, some people say. And
that's why I played safe. I didn't say anything.
Thank you for that. First of all, I'd like to thank EduTV for inviting me to this forum. Interesting discussions. And as a new university, I'm representing the new kid on the block, which is Sai University, Chennai. And as a new university, I'm listening to what the panelists are saying is useful and interesting. In fact, I can relate to a lot of things, given my background in working in private universities earlier also. So I would first of all like to say a little bit about the university because we are new and we are testing waters and looking at doing new things. So what I want to say is that Sai University aims to integrate three pillars, that is learning, research, and societal impact. This is what we have in mind. This is the fundamental pillars of education that the university is set on. Secondly, yes, we are indeed adapting to new age careers by offering relevant programs. Currently, we are starting with two schools, which are the School of Arts and Sciences, which will offer programs in social sciences, arts and humanities, and science. And also, we will have a School of Computing and Data Science. I keep saying we will do all these things because we have not yet launched formally. This will happen in the next month or so. We are looking at providing a vibrant and enriching system for our undergraduate students. Now, what I want to say at this point is that the kind of students we are looking for, I think that is very important because obviously being a liberal education university and seeing what the others are already doing, we are going to be doing quite similar things and probably some new things also. But I would like to, emphasize on what we are looking for in our students, the students that will join Sai University this year. We are looking for intellectually stimulated students. We want students who want to explore interdisciplinary studies, who want to broaden their horizon, who are willing to take that risk of, combining different subjects and learning something new. We want to find students who are looking for their passion. They find out what they want to do, and they will then forge their path. So how we're going to do this is by, like other universities, not, expecting them to declare their majors right at the beginning. They come in as Sai University students. They study various subjects. There are foundation courses, and then they decide what they want to major in and minor in. We are also looking at students who want to, nurture their cognitive powers rather than just accumulating facts and information and, reeling those off. In fact, our vice chancellor is a cognitive neuroscientist, and we're going to, look at how the brain works and, offer programs to stimulate, students' minds. We are also looking for students who want to learn to lead, become future leaders, and the ones who want to, learn actively. We don't want passive learners to just sit in class and listen. We want students who want to learn actively. And I always say that, what a student learns in the classroom is, probably 50% or, even less. What they learn from other interactions outside of the classroom is very, very important. So we are looking for those students who want to, indulge in such active learning rather than passive learning. Coming to the foundations that we'll be offering foundation courses, we are offering courses in critical thinking, artistic and literary appreciation, because we think, that is also important, the arts. Also, social and ethical thinking. We are also going to be talking about India's constitution and democracy. What does it mean to be human? And also environment. So this is what we're going to offer as foundational courses, and then we'll go on to other, majors. So yes, given the combination of, technical courses and, liberal education, I think we'll bring out good students in the next, 3 to 4 years. I'll stop here because I guess we are running short of time, and I'll be happy to engage with, the other counselors and educators who are here in future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Nandini. Learning, research, and societal impact. That's what you said that the highlights are. And with great offerings of multidisciplinary subjects. I think the Bloom's taxonomy takes further, a leap with you when you talk about stimulating minds and leading to active learners. And then there are a lot of gaps in between when we have so high aspiration for students. Bridging those gaps, I'm sure teams are doing, and that's how we are making students future ready. Thank you so much for this wonderful insight. I request now Mr. Hemant Sharma to come forward and express how he's connecting with these thoughts.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Dinisha, and hello to all my distinguished friends and colleagues. I'm listening to everyone, and what I understand, the one thing is absolutely common among them, that we need to develop a self-sustainability model into our students now. Like Mr. Rahul Dahiya and Anju was saying, that we must develop and inculcate the habit of entrepreneurship and launch some courses or offer some courses which are great in demand in India as well as abroad. Number one is entrepreneurship. I'll take entrepreneurship here first. And before that, I'll just introduce myself a bit. I represent Rishihood University, which is comparatively a new university and got accreditation last year only. And we offer courses in creativity, education, entrepreneurship, healthcare, and public leadership. And in entrepreneurship, I believe that all our university must convey this message to our student fraternity. That we have to fight with two major flaws of society. Number one is shrinking job market. And another one is increasing inflation. So by inculcating the self-sustainability model and entrepreneurship habit into a student, they fight with both the flaws of society. That is, they earn more, so they fight with the inflation, and they create job, so they don't need a job after successful completion of the course. So on this model, we teach entrepreneurship. And here in entrepreneurship, we offer specialization in two subjects. One is family business, and another is startup. So these two subjects are being taught here on campus. And here also we have incubation, venture capitalist, and the mentor fund and the mentorship after the course. So we teach students and prepare them to create the job market rather than we prepare them for the job market. So this is the basic difference that we have as compared to other universities. So far, I believe. And the second is design. I've been traveling continuously from the last so many years, and what I found that still students have no awareness where the great opportunities in which field lies. They still run after conventional courses like management, engineering, or medical, these courses. But I believe design is a great, in design, we have great opportunity for a student. And if I ask you, or if you ask any of your student and ask them whether they see any industry where designers are not required. Designers are required in every industry. But we have to make this, we have to make understand student and try to show them a new path where they can grow their career in the field of product design, transport design, digital design, industrial design, fashion textile, visual arts. There are so many fields where students still do not go. So these are the two fields where we should pitch to students in India as well as abroad. So now let me come back to this scholarship. Like Mr. Nayan Lamachin from Kathmandu was saying this, their students were facing difficulties in getting scholarship and admission into the Indian universities. For his information, we at Rishiud University, we offer a scholarship from 25% to 100% over and above 80% in case if student scores in his 12th grade examination, the Indian student. But for Nepali student, we have worked out a special formula last week only, where any student scoring 65% and above will get scholarship from 25% to 100%. So that is the slab that we have created for Nepali student as well. And for them also, we have waived off the registration fees, admission test fees. So they just need to log on to the website and complete the application form, and they are in. After the interview, of course, they have to pass certain criteria, and not less than 60%. Students scoring less than 60% are acceptable in any case. So this is the, these are the major topics that I wanted to, highlight here. But before I leave, I also wanted to, another major issue that everywhere we go, we counsel student, we counsel teacher, we counsel principals. But what if student try to counsel us? We have around 900 universities across the country today. But in case if student asks, where are you now? We don't have any answer to them. And we see the transition of student from south to north, north to south, east to west, and west to east. Unlike school education, where we accept student only within the certain kilometers radius of the school. But in university, we don't follow that procedure. This may be, again, a drawback of the society, flaws of the society. We may also have to think of. We go for outreach everywhere and everywhere, but we don't see a student who is just residing nearby. So these are some, factors that we also have to understand, get more number of students from the societies around our area rather than inviting students from other part of the society. Now, another topic which Mr. Nayan has raised about the kitchen, the students' taste. So I believe that Nepalese taste and Indian taste is almost similar. They also eat bhat, we also eat bhat, they eat dal, we also eat dal. So there is not much of difference. So it's about matter of habit. If you spend 10 days in Nepal, you will develop their habits. If they spend 10 days here, they will develop our habits. So there is much not to be worried about. And in case if Mr. Nayan has any further question related to the admission procedure, or in case if he wants to know any further information, he can happily get in touch with you and get in touch with us as well. So that's all from me as of now.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hemant. I really enjoyed listening to you with your out-of-box thinking. Somewhere little differ. I would differ where you say yes, we would like to reach out to people, students who are next to us, but certainly the options are to be open for everyone, because whosoever wants wherever, the option should be there. That is very, very important.
Yes,
and another thing which I'm taking as a key takeaway from today's day is that yes, we need to make students for market ready, but why can't we think of making them creating a market? Because certainly there are solid and visible jobs which are shrinking, and certainly virtual jobs are coming, and we need to prepare, because everybody doesn't have that entrepreneurial mindset which you still claim that you would you are nurturing and you are having policies for that. That is a wonderful idea and kind of the concept which has been brought forward. Certainly we need to work on those aspects also, that why we are having brain drain and our children are going out to some other countries and then enriching their share economies. Why can't it happen other way around? So it's a brilliant concept which you have brought forward, and some more concepts and ideas to come forward. For that, I would request Mr. Ankan Das to take the stage.
Thank you, Captain Danisha, and very warm hello to all the panelists. And thank you, Pranav ji from EduTV, having invited me, and excellent forum, this where we are enriching ourselves as well and interacting with each other, and sharing our ideas and thoughts. It is an excellent forum. I have been enjoying last 1 hour plus. So yes, now I am Ankan Das. I am representing Alliance University, Bangalore, and this is a university. I mean, last 2 decades, it was, it is into existence. Earlier, it was Alliance Business Academy, and last 11 years, it is, functioning as Alliance University now. And I would be very brief because most of the topics have been very well versed, and I was listening to it. So very briefly, I would like to start with post-COVID, this era, what we are trying to do. First, we had inter-meeting. We met the Pro-Vice Chancellor, the academics team, the sales team, that is admissions team. Everyone had a common meeting and an understanding that now students will be virtual, parents will be virtual. It is a big challenge for us because to make them understand everything virtually. What we started first to have weekly webinars, not on admission. First, the weekly webinars we have on topics such as stress management, time management, new career options, and we are hosting these webinars. Engineering department separate. So we are having a topic on something on aerospace engineering, something cruise to the new world of aerospace. We are having a webinar on management. We are having a webinar on, something on accounting, something on law. We are getting fairly good participants. So we are just trying to discuss in a forum, and all these webinars are being hosted by the Pro-Vice Chancellor or the deans of the respective schools. In that way, it has been a very good forum because parents, since we are holding these webinars in the evening, we are getting a lot of parents who are coming actively participating. This is something which has worked very well. Next is we are also having now alumni. We are having an alumni association at Alliance because we realized that we are having 20,000 plus alumni now. So we have formed an alumni association, and every week we are having batch meets virtual, something like 99 2001 MBA batch meet, where 80-90 alumni are coming. And it is like a very nice chat interactive session on Friday evenings or Saturday evenings. What it is helping is, since all of them are in a noble profession, in a post and a designation, they are also giving their ideas on this, which will help us further to connect with the parent students. And of course, it is helping them and us coming in connect, because we believe that it's a 360-degree. When a person is coming, the academic team, they are studying, and the placement which happens, and we are taking due care in all these 3 processes. So it's a unison we are trying to form at Alliance, where all of us are on a common page. We meet once weekly, we have a review thing, and this is a second initiative we did by having alumni batch wise we are coming. Now third we are having is a scholarship. That is a scholarship test we have started. It's called Alliance University Scholastic Aptitude Test, where up to 100% scholarship is available to all the UG participants who apply. But the best part about this scholarship is, irrespective of a student taking admission or not later, we still have students and we entertain students. That these are the parameters. We have prizes. You take or not take admission, because this is a scholastic test. It's not a scholarship only that you have to take admission. We are awarding those students as well. So this is also something, yes, it has worked out well. And we are getting very good response of this Alliance University Scholastic Aptitude Test. But we also have interactive sessions again in the level of pro vice chancellors, where they speak to the parents and the students before the scholarship exam, just before the interview process or the scholarship test. We again have an interactive session. Why am I focusing before ending this is, all the while that we are doing this, I agree with what Sahib was speaking, was that parents, now have, they are, yes, students are now in this modern generation, they are the decision makers, agreed, but parents now needs to be, we need to make them understand about a lot of things post-COVID. We are having, I will give you an example. Now we are having some people from North India, maybe. They are having like, okay, how do we go to South? Bangalore is in South. Now COVID has happened. What will happen? I need to be there in this city as well. So there are a lot of queries which comes, there are inhibitions which has. We are trying to have this in the sort of webinars and pre-scholastic test webinars. We are trying to moderate this by making them comfortable, because as it's all virtual right now. So yes, these are the approaches that we at Alliance are inculcating, and yes, very happily, and I see a very better 2021. I can foresee that, and there's a good response, understanding from the parents, students. I see a lot of knowledge they already have gained, thanks to the social media, thanks to the positivity of the news, and that they also share within themselves. Very good and informative crowd and parents. It's our role that we need to be just moderating the correct channel, the right information, to the people who want to know the right things. So that's it from my side. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ankan. Spread wings and connect, because connect is one way which comes back to you in the form of enhancing and closing your limits and making it totally boundless. So wonderfully brought out as far as your initiatives are concerned for holding webinars and reaching out to alumni, because that is how you can spread and you can express what you are doing through them, and more people can be benefited.
Captain, before we go to our 9th batsman, Sarvesh, I would like to add one more thing. Apart what we have done, Ankan, we have appointed 2 class 12 students as campus ambassadors to many universities, and that is doing pretty well. They are able to tell about the university to all their students, their colleagues, their tuition mates, and that is drawing the highest number of admissions. Students are, because what we have seen this year very good, as Ankan said, because the students who are passed out in 2020, majority of them have not taken admissions. So this year it will be roughly 1.5 times admissions, because they won't be wasting their coming year. So I request all the universities, I will send you details, appoint 2 ambassadors in all the schools. Today already we are having a meeting with roughly 17 students online at 2:30. I think Captain Danisha's students are also joining from Bangalore, Delhi public students are joining. I'll send a separate annexure for that to all of you. Over to Mr. Sarvesh.
Thank you, Captain. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. And I am from GUS. GUS is, acquiring UPES and Pearl Academy in India. And along with that, we have 18 foreign, university in our panel. So I will start. Novelty and innovation drives the modern world. So new is always better, often holds true here. So we started as UPES started 16 years back with one program, that is petroleum engineering. And we expanded like anything in 16 years. We have 80 schools with us. We have a school of design, school of law, school of computer science, a school of engineering, law, design, business, health sciences, modern media. Then we have a school of life. This year we have launches. So we have more than 170 specialized program aimed at making a specialist. We have unmasked global exposure with 3-4 weeks study programs in Berlin and Vancouver. We have. So we have provided free access to 3,900 plus global courses from top institutes with Coursera to our students. So we are claiming 94% placement records in 2020. in pandemic itself. So we have industry alliances because academic is very important for the students, and we have upgraded like anything. We have a tie up with IBM. We were the first university in India who has a tie up with IBM, and they have a center in our campus. We have Microsoft, Xavier, L&T, Tata Power, Cisco, and many more. Organizations are there with us for the academic development. So, we have unique alumni offerings with placement support up to 5 years. So, if we talk about the scholarship, we were talking about the scholarship. We have very, unique initiative for the women's empowerment. So, we are offering 25% scholarship for the women's candidates, those who are applying to us. So, apart from UPES, I'll be talking about the Pole Academy because I'm also representing the team. So, it's been, 2 decades. So we are, very pioneer for the design institute in India. So we started with Narayana campus. We have 5 campuses now. We have in Jaipur, Bangalore, Mumbai. We have 2 campuses in Delhi itself. So we have 40 unique design courses with us in these campuses. So if I talk about the UPES, we were famous for the petroleum university. The people are knowing us as a petroleum university, but we have 150 programs in computer science. We have artificial. We are talking about NEP, like new education policy. So we have already opted. We started with the specialized verticals domains, and we started working with specialization since beginning. And we have more than 30 specialization in engineering, along with that blockchain technology, mechatronics engineering, artificial intelligence, robotics, aerospace engineering. We are already providing the courses in that. Then we have law schools with us, in which we are offering BLLB programs, BSc LLB program, BCom LLB program, BBA LLB programs, and we also provide the BTech LLB programs to the candidates. So we have very unique specializations with us. That is our core domains we have. So I think we are the one who has initiated women's empowerment in our campus. So we are just providing 25% scholarship to the students. So thank you so much for this platform where we can initiate the things.
Thank you, Sarvesh. I would now like to request Mr. Nayan or Mr. Sabeen Chhetri to advise how the university should get in touch with the students of Nepal. Nayan sir, are you there? Sabeen, I think Sabeen is there.
Yeah, Pranav sir.
Sabeen, how are you? Ramro cha?
All good. Dhere Ramro sir.
Okay. Sabeen, I would request you to advise our university partners how they should approach the students of Nepal the right way, and what all information they should give them. Sabeen, are you there?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm there.
Please, please. The stage is yours.
Can you hear me all?
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Pranav sir and EduTV for giving this opportunity to be part of it. I'm really thankful for the team. And I see all the veterans there giving good information about and talking about in the part of what Pranav sir had said, Indian institution in part of gathering the international student from Nepal, Nepal being a very close country with India, and it's everything is good with India. So in part of they go lots of students they are going to India for their higher education. In part of education, even in part of job also, in future after completion of the graduation, they even go for the jobs. So these days the charmingness has come up for the Western countries and other countries like Australia, UK, and other countries in part of the global education. And this is the age of global age, so everyone has been participating for the different countries where they are interested in. From my side, what I see is in part of India and Nepal, with the open border and everything comes up, for the students, it's part of the cost, and in part of the living securities, and in part of the coordination with the international team out there. If this kind of thing is looked after the students and taken care by the universities, then I think some more interest can be created within the team here, because these days, after this COVID, I think somewhat my intuition says this, like students from Nepal, they are will be interested for the Indian institution, because due to the distance what they cover, and the language and other easy accessible way, because
Sabin, we can't hear you.
competency, as previously Nayan has said, and is like, can you hear me now?
Yeah. Sabin sir, I would like to request you, what action should the Indian universities take to reach the Nepal students? I think we are always, they know that it is very nicely connected with road, rail, air, no visa is required, no passport is required. So how should they approach Nepal? What would be the right way?
In this regard, I think we should go with the interest of the students studying there, like in part of the subject and in part of the degree what they want to pursue. In this present days, students are not looking after the common thing. Like I have heard some of the courses, like it depends on the courses, how innovative and what different courses
Sabin, which is the famous newspaper out there? Sabin, which is the famous newspaper out there? I think we have lost connection with Sabin. Captain,
Yes,
let us
yes.
conclude it. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we'll reach out to you, Sabin, for all these questions Mr. Pranav had, and I'm sure those are going to be beneficial to universities, and more than that will be beneficial to students, because they will have more opportunity and clear-cut ideas how to reach out and how to connect with universities. Today we had a wonderful session where we talked about jobs, we talked about creating jobs, we talked about nurturing students and what all we are offering from various universities, so that the career and prospects of the students are built well. I'm sure this way, if we keep working, the future is very brilliant and bright. And there are days when the brain drain from other countries start happening towards India, and we'll be rich enough with hiring other countries' brain instead of losing our own brain. When we touch upon the aspects like low income growth, high intelligence level, to variety of mixing and merging of subjects, and internationalization of education with thinking of local conditions and India. Thank you so much, everybody. It was a great session, and I'm sure everyone got benefited with it. And I'm sure we are going to take it up. Mr. Pranav is already on to it, connecting with students. And it is going to benefit, actually, it is going to benefit the beneficiaries and benefactors both. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Captain Dinisha, this video will be sent to roughly all our 800 school partners across the world. And today we had Nepal special. Next week we are having Middle East special. I think there are more than 8 countries out there, and that will be a wonderful thing. And I am very happy to see that all of you have shared the different practices at various universities. And I'm really impressed, because I was doing a similar job 15 years back. Then things were very different. So thank you, Nayan sir. Nayan sir, are you there?
Yes, Pranav sir.
Nayan sir, what should be our university partners' approach to get in touch with Nepali students and recruit them for the universities?
That is very good questions. Like most of the universities, they want to get students from Nepal, but they don't know how to do it.
Correct.
So it's better to connect the local agencies like us, and you can actually have admissions partners in Nepal, so that we can actually promote our university institutions through our social medias and other tools of marketing, so that local people, local students will actually understand that this university is actually a good way, and they can actually go through us, so that if they would have any issues in the universities while they're studying, they could come to our office and talk to us. Then we can actually resolve the situations. So besides that, in Nepal, as I have heard that Pranav sir says which newspaper is the most famous. I think this is a little outdated these days. Most of the students actually looking after the newspaper's aid. They most prefer to have some digital
social media.
Instagram, Facebooks, These are the most prominent in Nepal's right now. So,
can you mute everyone?
Yeah. So,
yeah, I think.
Am I
Just
audible?
a sec, ma'am. Yeah, Nayan sir.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm so sorry. There was a disturbance.
Yeah, that's fine. And
Yeah.
also, it is very important to conduct some of the education expo with the Indian universities and institutions in Nepal markets.
Correct.
With the support of local agencies, so that students would know the university courses, fee structures, and facilities.
Right.
This is how actually the universities can actually get the students from Nepal markets. And Pranab sir is one of the expertise who have done very good job
We have done a lot of work in Nepal.
Yeah. So in this, how actually the university can get the students from Nepal.
Yes.
Okay.
Before Captain concludes, I would like to thank Mr. Sarvesh from GUS, Ankan from Alliance University, Meenu from Kriya University, Mr. Rahul Bhatia from scholarshiptestdekho.com, Madam Megha Jain from Arch Edu, Mr. Nayan Lamchen, the chairperson of Edu Planet Nepal, Kathmandu, one of the largest agency of Nepal, Mr. Gaurav Sachdeva from Career to Success, Miss Amina, are you there? Miss Anju Devaskar.
They are there, but they have closed their videos.
Okay. Amina ma'am, thank you. You came all the way from Bangladesh. Miss Anju from Flame and Mr. Sahib Sablok. I would like to request Madam Captain Dr. Today also came to one more. Captain Dr. Lawyer Dinisha Singh. Please conclude the
You never
session.
say lawyer, you say captain, doctor, advocate, right?
Advocate, okay.
So 3 prefixes. Thank you so much. It was an enriching session, and I'm sure all the students will get benefited with the offerings of these universities. We'll connect to our students, and I'm sure further we are reaching out to the world, and they will find out what they're looking forward for their higher studies. Once again, let us wish all the best to all of us and reach out further to enlighten the world. And educating and creating, not only creating student market, but creating students to create a market for tomorrow. Thank you so much. Good day.
Thank you.
Thank you, Captain. Thank you, Pranav sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Dinisha ma'am.
Thank you.